Very good morning again, everyone. Charles here, Frgnt. Daily chart analysis, 8:05 in the morning, Milano. That's 7:05 UK. Pre-London Open on the 12th November 2025. Here we are, AUD USD, quite an easy chart to break down, so I won't take too much of your time, but as always, weekly time frame, bottom right hand chart, just to see where we lie, any areas of confluence coming from previous weekly candles, wick imbalances, etc., etc., weekly 50 MA. So what I can see is that previous weekly candle provided us with that illustration of PWH, previous weekly highs, of which we have illustrated, superimposed that across the time frames, and you can see how that lines up quite nicely, in particular to the bottom left hand chart on that 4-hour chart. As you can see, for now, in terms of the middle chart, we have the daily 50 EMA currently being breached, but to be quite honest, that's good news. We expect a rejection to come from that area at some point today, and with that rejection, hopefully we'll be able to find our entry prior to the rejection, and then once that rejection then takes place, if I illustrate it for you. So how that's looking currently, we expect this weekly candle to potentially breach that weekly 50 EMA, finding potential liquidity up at that previous weekly highs or in and around this area as it is for now. But essentially, as you see how that wick is being printed, we would like that then to close and flip bearish for the day, leaving us with wicks to the highs where we have potentially gained our entry, if I will ever learn to draw properly. But you get the idea. So currently, are we in an area of interest? Yes, but what we must be mindful of is the fact that we are range bound at this precise moment. And I do see that there are other pairs of higher confluence that I'd be happier to take. So that's not to discredit AU by any stretch of the imagination. It is a position that I could well find myself in today if nothing else aligns, but how will I go about taking that position? Well, as you can see, I've got two risk rewards on now just to illustrate the positioning for you. However, in the immediacy, what we can see in that 4-hour time frame is price is respecting that 4-hour 50 EMA, and with the last candle closing in 2 hours 50, it's looking potentially like it is going to close above that 4-hour 50 EMA, meaning that if I am going to get in any position just now on AUD USD with forecasting this current 4-hour candle closes bullish, then my initial target must be that 4-hour 50 EMA. With that said, yeah, that's gonna have to be the play, unfortunately. So let's measure the range to see how we can fare if we are able to manage our position. So with a 8 pip stop loss, that is very much so doable in terms of managing your position by that 4-hour 50 EMA, and then looking for those Asia lows to be filled post London Open, and then our targets will be down towards that weekly 50 EMA where we can forecast some rejection, potential dip into that area for, in my opinion, the higher probable setup of AU at this time would be a long position from these lows, trading in line with rejecting that weekly 50 EMA. We also have a 4-hour order block down at those lows as well, previous daily lows that are still yet to be filled. So in terms of that long position, that is something that I'm more than happy to wait for if I'm not able to get into a short. Now the short positions, how is it going to look? Although we're in a range, and of course it is always the goal to sell at the highs and long from the lows. However, in terms of selling now, it's just not something I'm interested in, to be quite honest. Ranges can be manipulated so very easily in terms of just going above in terms of retail trading. So what I need to see is intention in the market before getting involved in a short position. What I mean by intention is, here is a clear structure point in the market illustrated on that 1 hour time frame and superimposed also on that 15-minute time frame. So to be quite honest, I would like to see a break of that structure, a clean break below on that 15-minute time frame. Once that is achieved, then I will have an area of imbalance left at the top, I do hope, for me to manipulate in terms of going down into that lower time frame break of structure before looking to go short. As you've seen, our range is pretty tight, going down to that 4 hour 50 EMA. So in all honesty, I would love this range to be breached up to the highs, up into those previous weekly highs, where we do find an area of imbalance in terms of the 4 hour chart just here on the bottom left hand corner. That would be a better position that I would like to take. So although in terms of structure we were making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, potential break of structure, higher high, higher low, higher high, what you see now is we are just bouncing between that area before the market makes up its mind in terms of what it's going to do. So if price does break up into that area, then of course I'll be looking for that lower time frame break of structure, potentially a 5-minute break of structure as well prior that lower time frame break of structure, before then trending down towards initial targets of 4 hour 50 EMA and then that weekly 50 EMA and this area here where we'll be looking for potential turnaround before looking for that long position. So that's the overall play, to be quite honest, on AUD USD. It's quite simple for me to analyze this pair. I know that I'm not really going to be looking to get involved in a range simply because I'm not a retail trader. It's great to identify yourself as a particular type of trader. I have no problems with trading a range, but once it's clear and evident like that, I'd rather sit it out. There are better pairs, cleaner pairs that I can look to risk my capital on. So as I say, just in terms of a recap, I am indeed waiting for a break of this area, a pullback into imbalance and shorting from this daily 50 EMA, where price respected the most. Well, what was that? Monday, Tuesday, and potentially on Wednesday we can expect potentially a rejection from that daily 50 EMA in line with how the 50 EMA reacts. So once prices come in, it's respected and given us a move short. Again today it is being breached, but we can expect at the end of close today in 14 hours 46 minutes and 50 odd seconds that daily candle closes rejecting that daily 50 EMA. So that's what I'm forecasting on AUD USD. As I said, I'd love price to come up to this area here for me to take the short, giving me a better range, better risk to reward ratio. So that will be that for AUD USD, to be honest. Quite an easy trade and pair to break down. Thank you very much for listening. My name is Charles of Frgnt Daily Chart Analysis. Thank you for your support across all the platforms. It is appreciated. Do take care.